I want to explain one point. I say good afternoon, everyone. And you see, I want to address the issue of proceeds of crime. Proceeds suspected to be obtained through crime, where the state arrests political leaders for suspects of their wealth because they are deemed to be thieves, where they don't have a record in the government, a financial report that Mr. Masuka, on such a day, you're serving as a police commander-in-chief, there's money in this ministry that went missing. This is 4,000 that went missing, and Masuka used that 4,000 to buy a non-moving vehicle. And from there, he used 3,000 to repair this which went missing. There is no record of such, but it's just a suspicion to say, okay, because Mr. Masuka is a refugee, but after being a refugee, he owned a vehicle. I just want to bring my testimony in comparison of Charity Katanga, who has been arrested because of being suspect of proceeds of crime, who has been sentenced to, she has been sentenced to 3 years. How do they say that someone, this is a proof indeed for stealing? I'll give my testimony. After running away, I lost 2 bakkies that I'd bought from my garden and from other incentives that have been given to me through organizations that UN appoints to help refugees. I actually bought a first bakkie, helped by someone who is a charitable organization called Africa Awake. People surrounding, they were saying, this one is stealing. And you know, when you are a refugee, just owning a vehicle, it brings suspiciousness. They think that refugees or foreigners, they are stealing without knowing that there are other organizations that help the foreigners to do what? To acquire certain things to ease their life in being in refugee. So now, for example, I lost 2 bakkies. When I came back from where I've been hiding, being followed by a gunman who I said a hitman on one of those books, what did I do? I planted a garden, a backyard garden, which I said, in this backyard garden, I need to do what? To raise some vegetables and plant some vegetables and sell. The time that came that I started selling, I want to say that I did selling using a wheelbarrow. This wheelbarrow, when one man saw me, who knows me, who I used to visit, says, "You, why are you selling vegetables with a wheelbarrow?" I was moving with my wife by my side, and it was the first day of selling vegetables with a wheelbarrow. And he says, "Come, bring 4,000. Get this vehicle. You said you know how to repair. You are going to repair it." I got the vehicle. I repaired it. And many others attempted to repair that vehicle. They failed. 3 of them, they failed. I had to work on that vehicle. And when someone sees me driving, he says, no. You are saying you are suffering. How can someone who is suffering can drive? It's not that the way everyone thinks that a vehicle which is worth maybe 100-something thousand, I get it at 4,000 because it's non-run. It's not running. I repair it. I manage to put it on the road. And tomorrow the same vehicle, I'm using it to sell vegetables. And let me just be practical. Can you pause that? I can show I want to show. Can show me. Look, what is it that I'm saying? When you look at these vegetables, when I plant vegetables like this, okay? I pluck these vegetables. I go and sell using the same vehicle which I bought at 4,000. The spare parts, they are costing maybe about, let's say, 5,000. And later I had to buy another engine on credit, which is 6,000. So altogether, I'm talking about equal to, let's say, 15,000. I have a running vehicle that is costing more money to purchase it. If you find it second hand, you are talking of about 80,000. So what is it that I'm trying to say? When 3 years from today, if I'm found parking a vehicle that is costing maybe about 350,000, someone will say, how can a person who is not working find himself with such massive wealth? Then they arrest me. In court, they'll tell me to say, can you produce bank statement, how you are banking, how you are making your money, how you are doing this, how failure to which, that means whatever you own, it's proceed of what? Of crime. So this is where I'm saying politics of arresting people on proceeds of crime is very wrong. It is not the true reflection of justice. It's revenge. There are things that cannot be documented, in the sense that the money that I've received is from a charitable organization that gave me. I have no receipt for that money. I have no bank statement for that money. And I use it direct into purchasing something that I want to help myself. And if that business grows from this vegetable garden to a farm, which is a big farm, which is there, down there, it's about a 3-hectare farm. If political interference was not bringing me down, I was going to develop something from a farm there. I buy whatever I want. Then someone will say, no. These things, because you cannot prove how you gotten this money, then they are proceeds of crime. Those people in the government who are working for the government, is there a law that they must not do business? Because with Charity Katanga, is not my relative, but I know for sure that Charity Katanga was used, she was used against UPND. She was arresting UPND. As the police officers today that are arresting people, they are being commanded by the president to arrest those in opposition, because the president wants to find a way that by the end of his first term, there is no one to stand on his way to oppose him or to win the elections. So those police officers, they have their own other investments. They are working on their own. They are fighting their life. But as long as the president that will take over from HH can examine their wealth in that same manner, they will be all arrested, because there are things that practically they are not documented. You acquire them through your own means without even using the bank. Even your salary cannot equal your achievement, because there is nowhere that is documented. What have you done? For example, I can provide evidence that I paid 4,000. Someone asked me, where is the evidence? Where did you get this money? I produce another evidence. So, oh, I'm a receiver of children's support grant. Then someone says, okay, fine. The support grant, if you use this money for food, you remove this money for food, where are you going to get the 4,000? I'm giving you a practical testimony of how I've managed to run my life, despite that this is not my life when I was back home. I had a better life home than this, which in end result, also I was trapped. I'm just giving you part of my testimony. When I was struggling with my business, really, I was not struggling to a point that I needed a loan. But the fact that someone saw my prospect, saw that I was growing bit by bit, and used my friend to come and entice me to say, look, my brother, there's a company Kulima Tower that is giving soft loans. So I think since you are producing drinks and here and there, this company is going to help you to do what? To prosper quicker. Because everyone who is doing small business will always want to prosper. So now, I went to obtain that loan thinking that this is a legit company. They made me sign. They asked me to use the house papers for me to do what? To get a loan. I talked to mom. Mom gave me a go-ahead. We changed the family house into my name. By the end of the day, I used that house to obtain that loan. When I was able to pay back using my business of manufacturing, I was manufacturing drinks and food colors and the flavors and sweeteners. I was actually coming to South Africa to buy those chemicals and do the manufacturing. But at the end of the day, I didn't know that this elder, who is the 70th day, it was a trap. It was a trap for me to do what? To stop speaking. So when they realized that I was paying back the loan, this man started telling me, no, you can pay every day because I'm being attacked. They are accusing me this and this. So now I need all the money. I started paying every day. What does he do? He vanishes. He doesn't come to me. He came back after, perhaps it was after 4 years or so. Then he says, I'm claiming about 1-point-something million, closer to 2 million, somewhere there. I left the papers, the court papers with mom in Mumbai. But I want to say that it was a move to get the house, which they thought it was the backing point of my ministry. And I tried to sell the house in order to do what? To pay the one who lended me the money, to pay back again, to pay back even the one who I approached to say, please, they want to grab this house. Can you buy it? If possible, I'll be able to replace this house because I know that this is a family house. When political pressure amounts fighting you together with the church, you just see things scattering. And things scattered. And this is now when I was to be poisoned. I actually drank poison from a person who actually masqueraded as a person in need, who is Mumba. This Mumbai, I went to Garden Side 3, he saved me with a poisoned drink. I faced him. I reported him to the government. I went to State House to inquire about him. They referred me to Red Brick. I went there. I said, this person came to me. He was saying that he was working in State House. And from State House, he was fired because he assisted someone to get a passport using the State House, agent passport using State House. This man actually was so close to me to a point that I thought he came to join the Reformation, but he was sent. So from there, when poison failed, when he gave me that drink, after asking me a lot of questions, you don't fear to be killed, you don't fear, the SDA church is a big church, the Catholic church is a big church, why are you criticizing those churches? All those interviews. But by the end of the day, when I had to get that drink, he called me early in the morning, before 6, which he never did. He thought that I was going to die, even during the night, because he expected me to die immediately after taking that drink. I did not die. The poisoning attempts further was, I experienced another attempt when I went to Chingola to supply shampoo. When I packed my counter outside, it was full of shampoo, full of everything, that food colors and so forth, because I was trying to use that money to multiply it in order for me to either negotiate with the one that has bought the house to pay him back the 150,000 or rebuild another house. I bought even another land which was about 50 by 50, which I had a project to pay back. But political pressure that never allowed me to succeed in my plan to reframe my life, to raise the ministry. Because what shocked them was after coming out of SDA, in 2 years' time, I'd opened branches, three branches, which one I started by worshiping at my home. And later I went to the school. I opened a branch about 1,500 kilometers in Kashkish, away from Lusaka. I opened another branch at Kafue, west of Kafue in Chanyanya, where people were gathering, worshiping. That was a threat to SDA Church. Also, it was a threat to those in government, those who knew what I was doing with my personal efforts. You know, why did I bring this testimony? Is that when we arrest people based on their achievement without knowing the truth of their resources, you are going to arrest them for no reason but vendetta against what they have achieved in life. In the sense that the SDA Church, when I bought the first canter from here in South Africa, without knowing that the money that I used was the money that I sold the house, they started preaching to say, hey, people have joined the Satanism. And when they joined the Satanism, they joined through Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, and the money is using to buy this canter is from Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, who is a Satanist. I just want to tell you how hatred can divide the nation, how hatred can divide the church, how lies can be manufactured to be truth. They alleged all those things that my achievement were from Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, and the money that Dr. Kenneth Kaunda is using is satanism. There are those other who went even extremes. When they see a black metallic Mercedes-Benz, they say these cars are from Satan. These are coffins that are moving. Everything, all these minibuses, there are a lot of stories attached to Satanism. But to cut my testimony very short is that Zambia political arrest is something that is made by donor funds. When you rip the nation from the resources, then you give them money. That money is going to divide them. That money is going to bring a lot of stories. That money is not going to be accounted for because it's free money. Therefore, my testimony comes to you to say, when you want to critically say, everything that I get, I must deposit in the bank. I tried to deposit in the bank some money when I was selling vegetables, the time when I was paying for my Ford Bantam. I deposited 20,000. By the time I went to go and withdraw, in fact, it was 20,000 plus. I went to withdraw 20,000 for me to pay a deposit. What happens? I found that the bank tells me to say, it's 15,000 your book balance. 15,000 how? No, depositing cost, withdrawing cost, this monthly cost, whatever. But that money, it was only deposited in 1 month in Absa Bank. 1 month. But the cost of the bank, whatever their charges, it went above 5,000. I stopped banking. I said it's useless. I'm selling vegetables 10 rand, 10 rand, 10 rand, 10 rand to raise this money. And the bank comes and chops me 5,000 out of 20,000. I paid my first installment 15,000 from selling vegetables. And now, when one stops banking, because the banks, they're also stealing from us, just to keep my money, you have to chop me more than the profit of the money that I'm depositing. So this is how, when you say that the political arrest, there's also the banks that are bringing us down, that are chopping us the money that we lawfully get by our hard working. And we are forced to bank. And the bank is one of the witnesses that is used against us to say, no, there is no bank statement showing that Mr. Masuka, you had 4,000 which you banked in the bank to buy this car. Yes, you arrest me because I didn't take that money in the what? In the bank. Then you say, this money you claim to say 3,000, you bought spares. I did not take it in the bank because the bank is waiting to chop me. It's surviving on me. So when we talk about imperialist leadership, all these banks owners, they are not there to help us. They are there to bring us down. I used that house to go and to ask money from bankless back when I evaluated the house to 100 and something. They refused to give me the money until I ended up in the hands of the what? Of the money lender, who ended up chopping me, Mr. Kayola. I still owe him. I agreed to say, I only owe you 3,000, not the millions that you are calling, because it was not my fault. You ran away when I was only remaining with 3,000. I can't remember properly the figures, but if I can go back on the file that I left with Mom, I can get the actual figures of what I promised that I'm willing to pay. Because I know to say, as a man of God, as long as I owe someone, God gives me a failure to meet the standard of righteousness which is required. I'm owing to replace everything that I lost, the properties I lost as a family house, because of this ministry of visions and dreams. I'm still failing to meet all the demands of my children because of politics fighting my efforts to do what? To succeed. How many farms have been attacked here with a gun, grabbing me, putting in animals? It has been now a normal life. Every time when I start selling my vegetables, they bring animals. Immediately when they see that I'm not there, they bring animals to ravage my vegetable farm. When you see me planting here near my place, I'm trying just to find food because the farm has been ravaged. So when we talk about it, to say, when people are being fought because of their stand to defend justice, the colonial masters who are using politics to fight us, who are using the banks to bring us, who are using politicians to bring us down, who are using all sorts of religion is also polluted because they want the government to save them. By the end of the day, we find ourselves fighting against each other. May God help us so that we understand to say politics that is there to accuse people of crime, of proceeds based of their services that they were enforced against them by the government. Those cases must be written off, must be withdrawn. If peace and love must proceed in Zambia and in Africa, in all countries where former presidents are alleged to be corrupt because they never pleased the colonial master, then they are found with a case to answer. So I'm not defending crime. I want the judiciary, the police, to work without being instructed by the president. If I've stolen, there is someone who complains that my 4,000 is stolen. Then there's evidence that I've bought this car 4,000. From that person who complained that the 4,000 went missing, there is a case by the police, not by a politician, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, but by the police. Oh, Mr. Masuka, this one is complaining that you stole his 4,000. And also there's evidence that this 4,000 is the one that you used to buy this car. So you are a thief. It's straightforward. But when there's no complainant, it is the state which is complaining against me because I was used to arrest Hakainde Hichilema 15 times. Then I find myself, my proceeds, my success is subjected to corruption. It's not fair. I'll still say it's not fair. The Tasira, they have built homes. The father gave them money, whatsoever business they were doing, whether they were not doing business and so forth. A president, when he travels outside the country, we understand that there are allowances which they are paid. And do they take all in consideration, all those house allowances? If a president is paid to stay in a hotel for maybe, he says he can stay in a hotel for maybe 2 weeks. If he decides not to stay in a hotel, he gets that money and puts it aside. He stays in a house of a friend, but he can park his vehicles by the hotel, and everyone thinks that he's in the hotel. He goes and sleeps somewhere else, and that money goes to his pocket. and he comes back and gives the daughter to say, I've reserved this money in my trip to UK. Can you buy yourself a house? Then that is deemed to be a crime, because that money, he used his initiative. Let's be realistic. Let's not penalize people because they were against us. Forgiveness of the nation talks about total forgiveness without vendetta. Let's arrest people with true evidence. Let's bring people to law and arrest them. Even me, if you ask me my opinion, I can say that to stop stealing in the country, anyone who is found with something, if this spanner that I'm using is a stolen thing, it was reported at police that it was stolen, and I'm found with it without evidence where I got it. If I'm arrested, my hand must be chopped. Then if 10 people are chopped because of stealing, the stealing will do what? Will stop. If 10 politicians are chopped because there's evidence that they received the money in their possession, which they were supposed to build a school, they didn't build a school, and that money they bought minibuses, it's a straightforward case. They must be chopped their hands. Chop their hands. Chop their hands. And everyone, a politician, will stop stealing. Not accusing people because they were used against you when you are in opposition. That's what I'm saying. It won't heal the nation, but it will divide the nation. And it will give a wrong precedence. Even the UPND, when they leave power one day, they'll also face the same consequences. It's my prayer that justice must be justice. Let's not arrest people because they were used against us. Let's not persecute the family for Lungu because Lungu arrested UPND 15 times. No, but let us arrest them when there is truth available. Not that issue of saying Mrs. Lungu stole vehicles for someone else. That is planted thing. It is not true. I'll still have to prove it. If you can bring me before the court, I can bring in what is truth and how that truth can be examined. When I talked about the testimony of Benjamin, the young brother to Joseph, how they had to plant a cup in his sack and he returned the money in his sack. Someone goes to the children of Jacob, they went to buy faithfully for maize, but they took the money and placed it back into the bag of their maize. And when they reached home, they found that, the money that we paid, it is back in the what? Into our sack. It's evidence enough that political traps, they can be planted in someone's home without a person knowing that it is planted. Even when Chiluba was being arrested, he cried for that the people who were sent to arrest him, they planted drugs in his home. They wanted to accuse him for drug dealer. So political crimes that are meant for revenge, we say no to them. Let them be withdrawn so that this country can start afresh. Hakainde Chilema must call for a United States of Africa and surrendering himself from being president to a governor, to Ibrahim Traoré. And that is the way forward. From there, let every president that shall rule have opposition only in the last 1 year. The first 4 years, all opposition parties, which I want to preferably to say in the United States of Africa, there must be only 2 presidents or 3. These 3, one wins, he becomes the president. These others that lose, it's either the second one can be the vice president, the third one can be on the standby as an opposition. But this opposition leader must only be active after 4 years in office. The last 1 year in the 5 years term, it is where the opposition leader is given space to go and campaign, to promise whatever people he wants to change. If the house is not finished, I'll finish the house or I'll build another one and so forth, using whatever their lies to deceive us. But the truth is, if that can be followed, 4 years, no opposition in parliament. If the president wake up this morning and says, no, we want to take over the mines to ourselves, those who agree, raise your hands. Yes. Those who say no, raise your hands. Why are you saying no here and here? If those who agree, they are the majority, that thing is done immediately. Oh, we want to put a school. The president must have the freedom to exercise the agenda to fulfill, to perfect the economy without opposition. Because He has won. Now he must perform to do his duties. Even me right now, the time when I'm giving an example, I bought a car for 4,000. Then someone asked me to say, why are you parking the car? I'm still waiting to have the money for me to do what? To buy spares. It will take a month again for me to share the money that I received from child grants to do what? At least to buy something for 100 rand or 200 to repair the car. I'm talking from reality. By the time when the car that is moving, then someone comes and says, you have stolen. How can a refugee who is not working be driving? As a South African, we've been working for years. We are not driving. So that is a hatred today. When you find that the foreigners who are Africans in their land, who are classified to be foreigners, they are hated because of their ability to work and draft their life successfully. May God bless you as you understand my concern. Let's not consider people's wealth as means to penalize them, as means to be criminals. Let's look at the availability of their resources to create what they have so that the country can be ruled in a perfect and clear way. Opposition must be allowed in African Parliament only for 1 year. After the president has all the right to use all the ministers from the opposition as one. Let's talk one language. It will remove the hatred. It will remove the fight against each other. It will remove the killing of the opposition and the killing of the president when they leave out of power. Amen.